Hi guys, welcome to Monday Night Live in Lake.
So thank you all for being here as well. My name is Rachel Harrison. I'm the adult programming coordinator. Kathryn Kauffman. Miss Kathryn Kauffman, all the way from Lexington, joining us here tonight.
Lexington. My name is Kathryn Kauffman, and I'm a psychic medium here at Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for tuning into my every Monday night show. This is where we talk about all kinds of topics. Tonight, we're going to do live dream interpretation. So if you have some weird dream that has happened to you lately, type it in the comments. I will get to them as fast as I can, and we're just going to do like a basic interpretation of this. Let's do some shout outs first. Over here on Instagram, hey to Alyssa, and on Facebook, Jay Ross, James, Barbara Bacon, and Crystal Crazy, Melissa Begley, and her sweet cat Miss Cleo. Big kisses to you guys. Hey to Corey Southworth. I changed the backdrop just for you, Corey, so that I could look wintertime and blend in with you up north. Hey to Brooke, Courtney, Zoe, Jackie Honley, and let's see over here. Yes, hey to all you guys on Instagram. So yeah, if you've had any weird dreams or you've wondered about a dream that you had in the past and never been able to figure it out, just type it in the comments and we'll get to those. I did want to talk a little bit about dreams and how to do dream recall. So let's talk about dreams. What are dreams? Why do we have dreams? You know, in doing some of the research for this, it's not really well known why we dream, and they don't have any concrete evidence or any really good solid things about dreams out there. It's all kind of conjecture. And you would think after all this time that we would be able to figure this out, but I think that so many people figure, yeah, you know, we dream and we think that this is what it does, and it's really not interesting enough for people to delve into and really, you know, put the work and the time and the money into finding out exactly what dreams do for us. Hey to Chastity, Cynthia, David, and Lana. Hey Lana. So dreams are basically hallucinations that occur during the stages of sleep. Dreams are strongest during REM sleep, or that rapid eye movement. So your strongest, most vivid, intense dreams are going to be during this REM sleep period. Now, this is also when you're less likely to recall your dream unless you practice dream recall. And I'm going to go through a really easy process at the end of the half hour to teach you how to do dream recall. So when you're in REM, you're less likely to recall your dreams. So the role of dreams is really hard for us to delineate. When you're awake, you're using more of your left brain function, you're using more of your logic, and when you're asleep, your brain is still active, but you're using more right brain function. The emotions, the subconscious, the emotional centers of your brain is what is more active. It triggers more dreams rather than the logical side of your brain. So we're seeing more right brain function during dreams and more left brain function when you're awake. But your brain is still very, very active when you're asleep. As a matter of fact, there is your brain actually switches off physical movement, because if you were dreaming of running or jumping or doing something very physical, you don't want to do that in your sleep, because you could really hurt yourself. So, you know, your body has a defense mechanism against that, and it just kind of switches off those physical things so that you don't carry out the actions. Now, there's several different facets to dreams. So what a dream is basically are your autobiographical thoughts, okay? And these are based on, you know, things that have recently happened to you, conversations that you've had with other people, issues that you may be going through in life. So those are popular theories of the dream. So how can we use our dreams? Okay, you can use your dream as your analysis or your therapist. Your dream is a way of confronting anxiety, lots of emotional things that you go through on a daily basis. Your brain can make connections regarding the feelings that you're having. So here's where it benefits you, dreams as your therapist, because when you're awake, your logic may become involved with the emotions and kind of cloud the connections or cloud the judgment. But when you're asleep, it's all switched over to the right brain, and your emotions can become connected. You can make more sense out of emotional topics and emotional subjects. And so you don't have the involvement of that conscious mind that kind of gets in the way and really clouds judgment sometimes. So let me check for questions and comments. And Cynthia Preston says, I see most of my family that passed when I dream, and a lot of times I'm back home and not here. So Cynthia, that most likely is a visitation. And visitations differ from regular dreams. Visitations from people who've passed on are very, very vivid. Sometimes they're very tactile. You can actually reach out and touch the spirit that you're in communication with. You never forget any detail about a visitation. And true, Cynthia, a lot of times visitations, the backdrop for it will be an old home or an old family house. And what that means is your brain is trying to signal you that this is the setting or the surrounding that that person wants to portray to you of family, comfort, home, and that connection that goes with that. So, yeah, Cynthia, that's probably a visitation. Hey to Sheila, Margaret, Veronica. Let's see if there's any more dreams to interpret. Gary, Diane, Dale, and Darlene Sturgill. Jennifer Oliver. Hey, girl, how are you? How are your horses today? Rhonda, Dawn. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. Hey to Connie Brock Powell. Taya. Hey, Taya. Hope you're doing okay. So dreams as therapists is a big one because you don't have that conscious mind getting involved with the emotional feeling and the emotional thoughts. Also, dreams kind of function as training for fight and flight type of things. So what that means is the area of the brain that's most active during this is the amygdala. And the amygdala is the part of the brain that's associated with survival instinct. And that's that fight or flight response. So your brain kind of goes through training of, if you're under a lot of intense stress and there are situations that could come up where you're put in this fight or flight situation, your brain kind of goes through that scenario, and it's sort of practicing for the actual event should it occur. And we kind of went through that a little bit on a previous episode of When Hell Comes For You. If you didn't see those 2 episodes of When Hell Is Coming For You, I really suggest you go back to my YouTube channel, and I'll leave the link to it in the comments, and watch those episodes, because practice for situations that include hell-like situations. Practice for that helps you actually get through those periods of life. So let's see, Sheila says she's constantly dreaming about her husband, but sometimes my husband is my ex. He's always having an affair, yet I know he's faithful in real life. So Sheila, those are just anxious thoughts and maybe subconscious concerns that you have, and that may be your subconscious trying to present those things for you to work through. So those are feelings that kind of run underneath the surface, so you may have suppressed those, and your mind is trying to work through those scenarios to get those thoughts and concerns out of the way. So Taya says, can a dream be an answer to one of the things you're trying to decide on? Absolutely. And another thing about this is, if you've watched previous shows of mine, the dreamscape is one of the biggest ways that people who've passed on have to communicate with us, because they do so in theta wave of our brainwave state. And theta wave is part of your sleep state. And so what they will do is they try to help us through our daily life and our, our decisions and situations that we're in. They try to impress feelings on us to decide a certain way or go a certain route that's best for us. And they will also give you answers in a dream to situations in life that you're going through, or concerns, or problem solving, and things like that. So it's very, very beneficial for you to practice dream recall if you can, because you can really extrapolate a lot of answers to questions in life that you have at the current moment. Hey to Tony and Sylvia. Melissa says, teenager in South Korea, and throughout the years I've dreamed being alone walking in back alleyways, residential areas, primarily, and walls where I see beautiful clay rooftops, Oriental style. Melissa, sometimes you can access a past life memory through dreams because you're so deep into those brain waves. And if you have a thought or a recall that was very significant to you in a past life, and those picturesque residential areas really mean something to your soul and your soul energy, those can come through in dreams. Now, one of the other ways that you can access past life memories and dream recall like that is anesthesia. Some past life stuff can come up in anesthesia. Certified hypnotherapy is another way that past life stuff can come up to the surface. One of the other ways is through a trigger. And the trigger can also, like if you experience a trigger, let's say, Melissa, you went to eat Korean food for the day, and you went home and at night you had this dream about this Korean landscape. It could be that the food, just eating the food, produced a trigger and threw you into some dream recall that surfaced during your dream, or the past life recall that surfaced during your dream. I hope that makes sense. Hey to Doris, Patty Ann, Margaret, April, and Courtney. So Courtney says she has recurring plane crash dreams. So a couple of things, Courtney, that could be a past life recall that may have been triggered by something, but it also can be your subconscious trying to tell you maybe you're working too hard and you're going to crash, or maybe you're not taking care of yourself and your plane or your body is going to crash unless you pay attention and start, maybe doing some self-care. So it can be trying to tell you that there could be problems coming up if you don't take care of a certain area of your life. But only you could give the details of that, Courtney, and see where that fits in. You have to really pay attention to lots of detail to analyze your dream, like, are there any other people on the plane with you that you know? Are they all strangers? Where are you going on your plane ride? What are the colors that are around you? What's the feeling like on the plane? You know, a lot of little details can really go a long way to tell you how that dream fits in with things that are going on in your life. So Tony says, why do we remember bad dreams more than good dreams? And I always dream in color. Does that mean anything? You have to pay attention to the color, Tony, because the color actually means something. When things are presented to you in a bright blue, that is representative of peace, peacefulness, communication. Can also mean somebody is trying to communicate with you, or the communication of the dream is very important. So you have to look at those dreams and analyze what does the predominant color really represent in it. But you know what, Tony? I think we remember just as many good dreams as we do bad dreams, and I'm starting to give myself away here, because how many times have you been on the edge of sleep and waking, okay, and something or someone tries to wake you up, and you're like, oh, I just want to go back to sleep and finish this dream. I mean, that happens a lot, doesn't it, guys? And so I think that we remember just as many good dreams as bad dreams, but we really don't give it the attention as we do the bad dreams, because the bad dreams were like, what does that mean? Oh my God. Hey to Bob Schultz. Melissa says she lived there. Yes, absolutely. And that was a beautiful memory that is kind of an escape place for you. That memory is somewhere that you go. It's like the holodeck of Star Trek. I need a vacation. I'm going to check out to the holodeck, and that's where I'm going in this dream. And it provides your mind and your soul with a lot of relaxation during that time. Hey to Katie, Tim, Arthea. Shout out to Arthea up in Cincinnati, and Sharon and Sylvia. So Sylvia says, these 2 days ago, I'm feeling so down, like bad energy pushing me down. Hopefully I have faith, and I think always positive, trying not to pay attention for low energies. That's really good, Sylvia. You need to definitely do some meditations to relieve that stress. And you know, we know now that alpha wave, and particularly theta wave brain waves, really go a long way to relieve a large amount of stress. And so if you will do some binaural beats for theta wave on YouTube, and they're all free, you can really go a long way to relieve that stress. Hey to Megan. And Rhonda says, dreaming of going through old cemetery and seeing old graves, grave markers of deceased relatives, also seeing grave monuments of Civil War veterans. Okay, so without going on a lot of detail, if you are actually going through the cemetery, you could be trying to connect with people that you've known from the past that are deceased. Also seeing graves of monuments, Civil War veterans. This may be calling attention to somebody or some persons in your family from that Civil War era that could be functioning as spirit guides for you. So it's really important for you, Rhonda, to go back in your genealogy and try to find out who it is that's trying to communicate with you. Because what they're saying is, pay attention to that particular era. And since you're in a cemetery that already has loved ones that are deceased from your family, it's calling attention to that particular time of the Civil War. That could be somebody from your family who is definitely trying to get through to you, that they are functioning as your spirit guide during this time. Let's see, Arthea says, I had a dream I was cutting my own foot off and it didn't hurt. I didn't finish it though. So what that means, Arthea, is that you know, our feet support us, they lead us through life. They're the things that carry us forward. And that's what you put one step in front of the other on your life path, right? And so your life path is, you're not able, what that means is on your life path, you're not able to make the decisions to go on that life path that you want. So that's what the cutting of the foot is off. But you didn't finish it because there's still a chance that you could walk down that path that you're wanting to go down. So Patty Ann says, I have very few dreams in my life and never in color. Why don't I dream? Okay, so here's where we get into dream recall, Patty. It is a learned skill to recall your dreams. If you are in delta wave a lot during sleep, you don't have dream recall during that time. So dream recall is a practice skill. What you're going to do, we might as well just go into it now. To do dream recall, the first thing that you've got to do is to program your mind before you go to bed that I will remember my dream. I will remember my dream. Okay, you're going to say that several times before you lay down for the evening. The next thing that you want to do is to set your alarm for 2 a.m. You're going to get a pad of paper and a pen and put it beside your alarm. Okay. Now, when that alarm goes off, the first thing that you're going to do is say to yourself, what am I dreaming about? Okay. When the alarm goes off, let's say you're dreaming about a White House. You're going to take your pad of paper and your pen and write WH on your pad of paper. Now, if you want to, a lot of people will suggest you actually wake up and you write it all down. But you know, who has time to do that? And then like for me, once I'm awake, I can't go back to sleep. So I usually just put 2 initials on there. And what that does is you put it back down after you write that small bit, put it back down, go back to sleep. And so when you look at that the next morning, then you see WH on there. That triggers your recall of what you were dreaming about at 2 a.m. And then it all kind of comes back to you. And as you do this over weeks, months, you get better and better at conditioning at remembering and recalling all of the dreams that happen. So Arthea says, oh, okay, I got yours, Arthea. I thought you had another comment. So Sylvia says, I'm sleeping very badly, about 4 or 5 hours. Now, Sylvia, if you don't have a history of seizures and there's no other neurological problems, you may be able to use those binaural beats for delta wave. And delta wave, you actually is the only brainwave where you get restorative sleep and your cells regenerate. And so that could be the key to you getting more hours of sleep. It could be that your sleep state is mostly alpha and theta. And even though those are the biggest states for you to dream in, it's not restful and it doesn't provide you feeling refreshed when you get up. Only delta wave does. So you may be spending too many hours in alpha and theta and not enough in delta. Hey to Stephanie and Anna White. So April says, I have dreams, multiple ones, different scenarios of an ex chasing me, finding me in multiple places, and I run or find new places to hide because I'm afraid he's trying to find me to hurt me. I've been married now for almost years, so he's long gone and out of my life. Now, this can be a couple of things. This can be like suppressed things that you haven't dealt with, subconscious fears from that relationship that you haven't worked through or dealt with, or it can represent something totally different. Let's say, April, that you have some kind of fears of you know, something going wrong with the job, and some suppressed things going from one place to another with the job. And it could be representative of something else. Like the ex chasing you could really be a substitute for something else that's you feel that's pursuing you. Let's say people at your job are always, hounding you down to do this or do that, and you just feel pursued. And a scenario from your past with this ex chasing you, your mind says, well, that's a good scenario to present to her, to say, this is how you feel and this is the stress that you're going under. So it could be kind of a substitution for that. So your subconscious is trying to get you to deal with something, and it just uses that scenario to call it to your attention. So Megan says, my grandmother always brings through other past loved ones, and my grandmother had the same gifts that I do. I asked to dream of my mother, and my Mimi brought her through. So Mimi is like, she's a translator. You remember, I can't remember the name of the show, but there's a real famous actress, and she was the one sitting at the phone, the telephone thing where they actually plugged in the plugs. If somebody wanted to make a phone call, they would plug them in. So Mimi is the person sitting at the board plugging people in. She's kind of a gatekeeper and a translator for people that have passed on that maybe don't have the skills that she does at communication. So that you're really lucky, Megan, that she's able to do that for you. So Arthea says, I don't usually remember my dreams. You can get better at that, but it does take work, Arthea. Let's see. Hey to Carrie, Natalie, and Ruth Marie. And Kamisha says, let's see. In her dream, a shadowy figure took me back in time to show me where I am from. Awesome. Once we arrived, it whispered to me that my horns were cut off by certain people, and that in my soul's very beginning, I was born with horns and was in some kind of position of power. So horns can allude to positions of power, like horn of plenty. So that can kind of be a clue to the status or the wealth of your position during that time, because the horn is full. This horn of plenty is full. And so in a past life, you might have had, plenty of money, plenty of status. Who took you back in time? That could be a spirit guide trying to help you, especially if in your spirit, in your soul, you're wanting to know where your roots are and where you have come from. Those spirit guides can kind of time travel you back to see that. But yeah, let's see, once we arrive, okay, your horns were cut off by certain people. I tell you what, Kamisha, message me with some more details. Maybe we can figure out how that figures in, how the horns were cut off and by whom, because I think that one needs a little bit more of detail analysis. Hey to Kelly and Natalie. Taya says she wakes up every morning between 2 and 4 for around 30 minutes to an hour. Does it mean anything? Yes, it can mean several things. When a woman approaches right around menopause, perimenopause, the estrogen levels are all out of whack at night, and it does cause you to wake up. Now, that can cause you to wake up from 2 to 4 a.m. Also, if you have a visitation or spirit that is trying to get a message to you, classically, they love to wake you up from 2 to 4. So what you need to do, Taya, is be very aware of what the time is on your alarm or on your alarm clock next to your bed. You may need to do some numerology to find out if there's a specific time that you're waking up every single night. Look at the clock. Is it, 2:11? Is it 3:15 every single time you wake up? If it is, then you're missing some kind of numerology message that a spirit is trying to send you. Hey to Linda and Candace. Candace says, I've been having very lucid dreams about certain family members in our home in Virginia, and I wake up feeling like it was a message. I just don't exactly understand, but it's important. It's a feeling like something is coming and I need to know what it is. Let's see what's being conveyed. The last two were about seeing spirits. There have been about 8 of them in the past couple years. They really stick with me and nag at me even now. The most recent one was 2 days ago. Okay, so sometimes if a spirit is not clairaudient and you're not clairaudient, you will not hear them talking in the dream. That's when you have to go on other cues, Candace, to figure out what the message is. Now, sometimes the message is simply the way that they look. Do they look okay? Do they look disheveled? You know, is something wrong around them? What's the backdrop of where they're at? Is it the family home like the other person's earlier in the comments? Or is it your house? That has to do with part of the communication. The other part of the communication is, what feeling are they trying to portray to you? So what they're trying to convey, it seems like in yours that something is coming. Seems like a feeling like something is coming and you need to know whatever it is. So yeah, they could be trying to alert you to something that's going to happen, or attention to certain areas of your life that could prevent problems. So you need to get better at communicating with them and figuring out what exactly they're trying to portray through feeling, through the color. You know, what color are they wearing? Is the backdrop behind them maybe red to call attention to something very important? Are there objects that they show you that have to do with, you know, your daily life? Did they show up? Did they come to you or show up at your workplace? Maybe it's something important that has to do with work, and that's why, you know, they come forward in that setting. That's part of the communication you have to try to work through. So Natalie says, I never remember my dreams. So, and earlier in this program, I was saying, Natalie, that it's a practice skill. And if you want to go back and watch the beginning of the show, I kind of go through a little process of how you can practice dream recall and how you can analyze your dreams. Patty says, I want to dream about my mom, dad, or sister who have all passed. Anything I can try to do that? Yes, Patty, I will send you a file on how to do that. Again, it's a practice skill and it does take work, and this file that I'm going to give you will step you through that process, okay? Oh yes, that Patty's got it. Lily Tomlin on the ringy dingy thing where she's plugging in the people on their calls. Absolutely. All right, you guys, I hate to cut it off here, but I am out of time. I will answer the people that have put their dreams on here, but after the show is over, it's over, because supper is waiting upstairs, and I'm going to get to it. Thanks for tuning in for this Monday night. Now, next week, we're going to go over astrologically, you know, when should you have surgery? When's the best time to have surgery astrologically? There is a good time and a bad time for those type of things. There's good and bad time for flying. And let's find out what those are, because we need to know for planning. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next Monday night. Kisses from Kentucky, you guys, and I will talk to you later.